Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our mayor, Buddy Dyer.
Good afternoon and welcome to the March 23rd, 2015 meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today's proceedings with the invocation offered today by Mother Mildred Lohman Eason, who is shepherdess, pastor of the Community Fellowship of Orlando Church of God in Christ, located in District 6. Community Fellowship's ministry focus is caring for our seniors and investing in our youth. Pastor Eason was an elementary school teacher, minority teacher recruiter, and manager of the minority and women-owned enterprise for Orange County Public Schools. She retired in 1997 from teaching with 30 years of continuous service. I'm going to stand, and you may stand or remain seated during the invocation. It will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance offered today by District 6 Commissioner Samuel B. Ings.
Eternal God, our Father, it's me again. I come to give you praise and to give you glory and to give you honor. I thank you for this day, and I thank you for life, health, and strength. Thank you for things being as well as they are. I thank you for this great opportunity to stand before such an august body. Now, Lord, I pray for the Board of City Commissioners and I pray for the mayor. Pray one by one for each of them. I pray for the work that has been assigned to their hands, and I ask you to please grant them the wisdom and knowledge that is needed to successfully carry out their assignments. Lord, grant them peace within and peace without. We thank you for peace all around. I pray for their families. Thank you for their support and their understanding. And Father, forever keep their bodies well. And I pray that you will protect them from all incidents and accidents. Please remember every citizen of this great city. And may we ever be appreciative for the work that this great body does for the betterment of all of us. Hear my prayer, and it is in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Easton. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll and make a determination of quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan? Here. Commissioner Hill?
Here.
Commissioner Ings?
here.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's take up for consideration the minutes of the agenda review and City Council. Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. All right, before we go into awards and recognitions, well, actually, I'm going to make a recognition that's not on the agenda today. A little while ago, between the agenda review meeting and this meeting, I had the opportunity to enter into a strategic alliance memorandum with the SBA, which in essence is a partnership agreement between the city and the SBA to support our small business community. And we are the small business community capital of the United States, I think. So I'm very appreciative of this, which will help our small business community and add resources to them. In attendance today at our meeting is, and if you'll stand when I call your name, Cassius Butts, who is the SBA Regional Administrator, Willie Gonzalez, who's the SBA District Director, Ed Ramos, who's the Senior Area Manager, and Lola Kress, who's the Regional Communications Director. Thank you for being here today. Okay. Let's see. Mike Carroll, you're up for a recognizing the retirement of an employee that may be, if not the longest serving, one of the longest serving employees in the history of the city of Orlando.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Don Gandy began his career with the City of Orlando in what was then called the Sanitation Department, October 16, 1977. His first assignment was to work in the container maintenance shop, cleaning and sanding dumpsters. He then joined a residential crew that served Virginia Drive and Mills areas. On April 25, 1982, while collecting garbage at the corner of Rockledge and Conway Road, a bag of garbage that he was picking up was hit by a bolt of lightning. The lightning traveled through the bag and up his arm. Don was treated at the emergency room at ORMC. To his surprise, Don's supervisor saw Don return to work at 6 a.m. the following morning. An old-time garbage man is hard to keep off the job. Don took the events of the previous day as a sign that he should focus on becoming a driver. He completed his driver training before the end of the year. Don drove commercial truck for nearly 5 years, residential trucks for 3 years, and a claw truck until 1999, when he was asked to assist the division in improving our vehicle readiness as our service coordinator. His efforts in that position yielded great results as our truck availability improved significantly. The model that Don created is still successful today in allowing us to complete our routes with a limited number of spare trucks. A year and a half later, he was promoted to supervisor and served the residents in the east and south areas of downtown for more than 10 years until his retirement. I am honored to present an employee that has devoted more than 37 years to improving the quality of life for the residents of a city he loves, Mr. Don Gandy.
The City of Orlando is proud of the service rendered by its employees who have contributed in no small measure to the enhancement of the City Beautiful as one of the most progressive cities in the nation. Progress in municipal government is predicated for the greatest part upon the loyalty and efficiency of the employees and on their ability to carry out their duties in the highest tradition of public service. On the occasion of your retirement from the employee of the City of Orlando after 37 years of service, the Orlando City Council wishes to express its esteem of the sterling qualities manifested in your devotion and loyalty to the City of Orlando. Now, therefore, I proclaim grateful appreciation of your long and honorable record of faithful service with the City of Orlando and extend best wishes for good health and happiness, dated this 23rd day of March 2015, signed Mayor Buddy Dyer. Okay, Dave Arnott, could you come introduce this next proclamation?
Mayor, Commissioners, on March 30th, 1973, all U.S. troops withdrew from Vietnam. There were no ticker tape parades honoring the veterans, no triumphant marches or speeches, as there had been at the end of each of the world wars. America's Vietnam veterans returned home to silence, or worse in some cases, for having served their country during a controversial war. In 2007, Both the U.S. Congress and U.S. Senate passed resolutions proclaiming March 30th as National Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. This year marks the 42nd anniversary of the withdrawal of U.S. combat and combat support units from Vietnam. Today, we urge all citizens and communities to honor Vietnam veterans on March 30th and to remember and honor the service of all veterans throughout the year. Take time to say thank you for your service, welcome home, and to those who didn't make it home, thank you for your sacrifice. Mayor, Commissioners, joining you today in the council chambers are many veterans and several members of the Mayor's Veterans Advisory Council, to include the Secretary, Vinnie Manito, who is also the chairman of the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 755. Mayor, you have a proclamation?
City of Orlando proclamation. Whereas the Vietnam War was fought in Vietnam from 1959 to 1975, involving the North Vietnamese and the National Liberation Front in conflict with the United States forces and the South Vietnamese Army. And whereas the United States became involved in Vietnam because American policymakers believed that if the country fell under a communist government, communism would spread throughout Southeast Asia. And whereas in 1964, the U.S. Congress overwhelmingly passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. And whereas in 1965, U.S. combat troops composed mainly of volunteers arrived in Vietnam. And whereas by the end of 1965, there were 80,000 U.S. troops in Vietnam, and by 1969, a peak of 543,000 troops would be reached. And whereas on January 27, 1973, the last U.S. troops left Vietnam, and whereas more than 58,000 Americans lost their lives in Vietnam and more than 300,000 U.S. soldiers were wounded, and whereas in 1982, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was dedicated at the Capitol to commemorate the U.S. personnel who died or declared missing in action in Vietnam. Now, therefore, I, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, hereby do proclaim Monday, March 30th, 2015, as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day in the City of Orlando. All right, Alan Johnson's going to introduce some interesting-looking folks that are here with us today.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, and audience members. Good afternoon. It's my pleasure today to introduce David Siegel, founder and CEO of Westgate Resorts, who has been a part of the Central Florida community since the 1970s. From humble beginnings in his Orlando garage, David has grown Westgate Resorts into the largest privately held timeshare company in the world. It spans 28 resorts in 11 states and employs over 12,000 people, with approximately 5,000 of those located here in Central Florida. David is passionate about Central Florida and local philanthropy and has been recognized frequently for his charitable leadership, and is especially committed to supporting the active and veteran members of our armed forces. The Orlando Predators franchise, AFL franchise, started in 1991 at the old Amway Arena, and the City of Orlando has had a long partnership and history with the organization. And with David at the helm, after purchasing the team back in 2014, we're excited to welcome them back to the Amway Center and want to encourage everybody to support our Orlando Predators. It's my pleasure to welcome this time David Siegel, owner of the Predators, for this proclamation. Mayor, David.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Mayor Dyer and the City Commission and the leadership that are here today. We're really excited about bringing the Predators back to where they belong, in the Amway Center. We've been gone a while. We're coming back under new ownership, under new leadership. We're going to have a great team this year. We have a great coach, Rob Keefe. He's in the audience right here. We have we're going to have great dancers, great players. We have one of our players, Greg Carr, sitting back there. I shouldn't say one of our players. He's our superstar. We're lucky to have him. He should be in the NFL. And we have great leadership. Jared Saft is our president. back here. And Mark Waltrip is our COO. And I just want to, the reason that I bought the Predators and wanted to bring them back to the Amway Center is I've been a resident of Orlando 45 years. I wanted an opportunity to give back to the community that's been so good to me. And as you heard earlier, it's been very good to me. And I'm happy to say Orlando is my home, and Orlando's where I'll live till the end of my days. But this was an opportunity to give back to the community where we can, I see the veterans are here. We're letting all the veterans in for free to our game on next Sunday. Any veteran that served, active, inactive, whatever, retired, currently on active duty are all going to be our guests at the games. We're inviting school children that make A's in their report cards to our games. We're inviting the inner city kids that can't afford to see a game. They let them have an opportunity to experience professional sports. And we're also highlighting Orlando. We're going to be 5 games are going to be nationally televised. First one starting Sunday on ESPN, and it's going to highlight Orlando as a great place for professional sports. So not only are we going to give back to the community, but we're going to give all of the people that come to the game some great evening, a great opportunity to experience what we're selling, and that is great fun, affordable fun in a great arena. And thanks to you, Mayor Dyer, and the rest of you, we're going to have a good time. And I won't accept anything but going all the way to the Arena Bowl this year.
How about if I read a proc and then we'll take some pictures?
Okay?
City of Orlando proclamation. Whereas the Orlando Predators were founded as an expansion team of the Arena Football League in 1991 and have evolved into one of the most exciting and innovative sports franchises in the country as they embark on their 24th season. And whereas the Orlando Predators have achieved unprecedented success on the field by capturing 2 Arena Bowl championships, 7 conference titles, while advancing to the playoffs a league-leading 22 times. And whereas during the 2014 season, the Predators captured the South Division Championship, advanced to the American Conference Championship, and set the groundwork for what promises to be a spectacular 2015 season. And whereas under the new ownership of Westgate's Resorts founder and CEO David Siegel, the Orlando Predators are thrilled to return to the state-of-the-art Amway Center, aka The Jungle, in downtown Orlando for the 2015 season as an exciting chapter opens for this storied franchise. And whereas the Predators honored former and current U.S. military personnel for their dedication and sacrifice to our country by giving away tickets for the first home game of the 2015 season. And whereas the Orlando Predator fans are a fraternity of the most devoted and loyal fans in the AFL or any other sport, now therefore I, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, hereby do proclaim March 23rd through the 29th as Orlando Predators Week in the City of Orlando.
And I forgot to introduce a couple of our fans. You were talking about our fans. They dress kind of wild, as you can tell.
You didn't get the fans in there.
We're bringing our shirts with us? I played wide receiver once.
Very wide.
We're gonna put them on or hold them? I want to see Sam. Oh, sign her up.
That's okay. That's a real player jersey.
Taking a break. Taking it off.
Hey, mine is perfect. I'll leave. You want me to leave it on? I'll leave it on. That's all good. You know, it kind of matches my outfit. All right, perfect. Look forward to it. We don't have to give it back? No. Okay, then. I'll reach out today. Thank you. It's been a while since I've been.
You're supposed to collect afterward, not in front of her.
Thank you.
Ruin the magic.
I want it. I promise Mr. Siegel I'd wear it. I'm all about it.
This is lucky. No. I just don't want Sam's age on mine again. He had 99.
Who had 99?
Sam did.
That's the guys that don't play.
That was my number when I was. The coach said that was the best number for me.
We're sitting on the bench.
Oh! Get busted up.
No, all right. I'll check yours. Yeah, you're okay. What about mine?
Yours is good.
All right. Commissioner Hills is
I want
good.
to get some hair gel in you, but I know.
Commissioner, I've got hair gel on.
You got hair gel.
Yeah, Ortiz's hair's still in place.
I don't have any, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. We are now on mayor's update, so I have just a couple things. The mayor's matching grant program, Spring Cycle, is now opening and accepting applications, and I would encourage eligible organizations to apply. Visit cityoforlando.net/grants, and the application deadline is May the 1st. So, commissioners, we've had 2 major soccer events at our newly rebuilt Citrus Bowl. One had 62,000, and last Saturday night there were 31,000 cheering on our Orlando City Lions, and the stadium was constructed to allow us to keep what we had, our signature events, the Classic, the Russell Athletic Bowl, the Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl, Monster Jam, but also to help us attract additional world-class signature events. And just last week, we were able to announce one, that we are going to host the Mexican men's national team against the Costa Rica men's national team. And for many of us who are uninitiated or being initiated now into the ways of soccer, having the Mexican national team is significant. They were the inaugural event at the Cowboys Stadium. They were the inaugural event at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And every time they play, they average 50,000 fans a game in the United States. And it's going to further that soccer fever that we have going on here in Orlando and set the table for our Copa bid for next year. So thank you for your support, commissioners, on our venues and making events like this possible. We had the 10th Annual Neighborhood and Community Summit on Saturday. Commissioner Stewart, Hill, and Ings were able to attend. It was the largest we've ever had. We had over 300 neighborhood, arts, cultural, civic, community, and faith-based leaders and volunteers. There's a lot of networking going on. We gave out our 2 annual awards. I want to congratulate Faye Henderson, who is a member of the Lake Orlando Homeowners Association from Rosemont, located where? District 3, for receiving my Neighborhood Champion Award, and Harbor House of Central Florida for receiving the Community Builder Award. And I want to thank staff and everybody who worked so hard on that to make it extremely successful. And we will have, there were I think 15 or so workshops, and they were all recorded and they will be on our website. But I would encourage anyone to take about 45 minutes and watch the one that Don Price did on Orlando's history in 60 minutes. It might have been between 45 and 60 minutes, but it was very interesting, and he has a lot of good information. Some of it I think he just makes up, but most of it is fairly accurate, and you couldn't disprove it if it isn't. So, but it's very, very entertaining history of Orlando. And then I just have one item I want to mention. Today we're going to be approving a 3-phase master plan for the Yard, which is a mixed-use complex in Ivanhoe Village, which will include 630-unit apartment buildings, 57,000 square feet of retail, a multi-use trail for walking and biking that'll connect to the Lake Ivanhoe Trail, and an outdoor amphitheater. And I think Commissioner Stewart has done a good job working with the neighborhood and all stakeholders to build a consensus behind what we need there. And that's really going to grow into a cool corridor, because the ballet is going to be located on the north end of that corridor and then connect down in through Lake Highlands. So I look forward to that. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote of council. We give each of our council members an opportunity to comment on items on the consent agenda and update you on significant events occurring in their districts. We rotate the order that we do that, and Commissioner Ings is first at bat today.
Do we have any public comment on the agenda
Not till later.
as far as the consent agenda later?
We did that at agenda review.
Okay, good. All right, I'm ready to go. Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Pastor Mildred Eason for the Community Fellowship Church of Orlando, Church of God in Christ, for her prayer today and her support of the city of Orlando. And I'd also like to say congratulations to David Siegel and the Orlando Predators owner for really reaching out and making an investment into the Orlando Predators and bringing them back here in downtown Orlando at the Amway Center. And Mayor Dyer, hats off to you and Marcia and Michelle and all of the other staff members for Mayor's Summit. Great event, very well attended, and many of the residents really enjoyed the program, Marcia. They enjoyed the seminars and the breakouts, and of course they certainly enjoyed the lunch. So it was a great event, and I really enjoyed myself there as well. Also, I participated in the Stop the Violence March that occurred on Saturday, March 14th, and this was hosted by Mr. Jack Williams, Jr. The march began at the Experience Christian Center, where Pastor Derek McRae is the pastor, at 1226 26th Street, and it ended at Grand Avenue Park, 700 Grand Street there in the heart of District 6. There was a program at the park along with a symbolic memorial where they actually had a casket that they brought, and it was a part of the march as well. But former OPD Chief Val Demings was there on hand to speak, and Pastor Derek McRae did the prayer. This was a great community event, uniting the community together in an effort to stop violence in our communities. I also on Wednesday attended the Eccleston Elementary School dedication. This was held Wednesday, March 18th at the Eccleston Elementary School there in District 6. School Board member Kat Gordon was on hand, as well as Principal Felicia Goodman. And this was with the new school that had been built in the district, and so this was a great event. Also on Thursday, March 19th at 11 a.m., I hosted an appreciation luncheon, and this was done as a result of former City Commissioner and County Commissioner Mabel Butler. What she did was gathered some people together that actually donated the reupholstery of chairs at the L. Claudia Allen Senior Center. Many of the chairs were tattered and torn, and so she had those particular individuals to reupholster 6, 12, 24 chairs. And I'd like to thank those that were involved: Congresswoman Corrine Brown, Dr. Thomas Dorsey, Mitchell's Funeral Home, Tyrone Nabby, Derek Wallace, Larry Simmons, and Orlando International Airport CEO Phil Brown, Errol and Betty Johnson, Russo GAI Incorporated, Rich Black, Byron Brooks, and Roy and Irene Geralds. So all of those committed to having chairs reupholstered. They actually paid for them, and I provided the luncheon with our seniors so our seniors could be there to enjoy with those that gave. And then also Thursday, March 19th at 5:30, I attended the Orange County Bar Association Foundation, Education, Leadership, and Benevolence. There was a panel discussion on social justice and cultural issues affecting our society today. And this was held at the New Covenant Baptist Church on 2210 South Rio Grande Avenue. Also hosting this event was the Presbyterian Church, the Paul C. Perkins Bar Association, New Covenant Baptist Church of Orlando, UCF Center for Law and Policy, and the Central Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. It was moderated by Judge Faye Allen. The panel included Mark O'Meara, defense attorney, Jeff Ashton, state attorney for the 9th Judicial Circuit, Orlando Police Chief John Mina, Luis Calderon, a defense attorney, Alicia Adamson, a defense attorney, and the former Florida State Senator Gary Siplin. And standing in and sitting in for Sheriff Jerry Demings was Major Danny Vereen. So this was a great event, lots of participation, lots of people there. And then on Saturday night, I attended the Rathmans Club 20th anniversary. The Rathman Club Foundation, along with Valencia College Foundation, this was their scholarship banquet where they reach high and dream deep. This event held at the Rosen Center Hotel on International Drive. Mr. Arthur Jarvis was the scholarship chairman, and he's now the president of the Rathman Club. And they also honored George Jordan, who has since gone on from us, and Mr. Jordan was honored along with his family that was there. The Rathman Club also is hosting a Minority Veterans Town Hall meeting and Veterans Information Seminar. I'm co-sponsoring this event with the Rathman Club, and it's going to be held Saturday, April 4th, from 10 a.m. until it's all over and done. It's going to be at the Dr. James R. Smith Center at 1723 Bruton Boulevard. So if you have any questions concerning VA benefits, please come. There will be representatives on site to support you with information and application for services through local, state, and federal agencies. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 1. Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. I think given the number of people here to speak, I'll yield my time and refer folks to the District 1 website, which has all the events that are going on in the neighborhood. Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ortiz.
I'll make it quick. March 10, we had the graduation of the 2nd District Government Academy. Another great success. Thank you to all the community leaders who participated at the Academy. I want to give thanks to Ms. Jody Boyes and her team for planning 2 lake cleanups in our district, one at La Costa Wetland and the other one at Lake Underhill. I joined the one at Lake Underhill. We picked up quite a bit of garbage, but it was a great team effort, so I want to thank them. And last Thursday, we had our District 2 Neighborhood Leaders Council meeting, and I would like to give special thanks to our facilitators. From the City of Orlando Parking Division, Ms. Valerie Trammell, and from the SELF program, Mr. Jeff Benavides. Thank you both for the presentation. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. District 3, Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you for yielding your time to me. I appreciate it. I'm going to take the next 35 minutes to talk a little bit about the work of the city. Lighten up. It's okay. Got just a couple of quick things I want to cover with you. Welcome back to the Predators. That's an important investment back into our downtown, and I appreciate Mr. Siegel and his team doing that. That's a big deal. A couple of important meetings coming up. There are community-wide meetings. Let me just share briefly here. One is the Florida Department of Transportation is hosting a public meeting regarding the I-4 Ultimate project on March 25th from 5 to 8 at the Orange County School Board. This is a meeting for the downtown corridor. I think this was for Colonial Drive north to Fairbanks, I think is the area. But anyway, anybody can come for it. It's a Joe Davis Boardroom on Amelia Street. It's going to be talking about the the permit disclosure of the Ivanhoe Boulevard eastbound exit ramp, and all that information is on their current website at i4ultimate.org. FDOT will also be at the College Park Neighborhood Association to talk about the impact of the I-4 Ultimate project on College Park. I appreciate them doing that. Orlando Together bike rally from downtown Credo is coming up. So please look for that information on my website. And of course, Lou Gardens. Let me just say a special thanks to Robert Bowden. I don't know if he's here or not, but the work that they did with the annual spring plant sale was just wonderful. It's another record-breaking crowd. I appreciate that. We've got a movie date night coming up, and we also have only 2 more weeks of Ribbit the Exhibit that's there. So you guys get a chance, please come and look at that. On the agenda, let me just also make a comment. We talked about it briefly on during agenda review, and I'm in favor of item B4. I think there was some confusion as to my comments. The easement drawings we had did not show the location and the entire property, and I was trying to figure out exactly where that was. I appreciate this. This is going to, as Commissioner Sheehan has said, and she'll share also, this is a big deal for us. It gives us a chance to be able to clean up that lake, be able to use some of that easement right to improve Lake Druid, and I appreciate the work that our staff has done to make that happen. I know it's in Commissioner Sheena's district, but it's around the edge of mine now, and that's important to our city as a city asset, and I appreciate the work that she has done into that. And that's all that I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sheehan, District 4.
Thank you, Mayor. And the drainage easement at Elon, item B1, I mean, that's something we're working on a long time, and Lake Druid has had a lot of problems and issues with cattails. This is actually going to allow a cleanup. So I want to thank Lori Botts, Lisa Henry, and Jim Hunt for their work on this. And I'm hoping we can get all the property owners along Lake Druid to agree to clean it up. And if we can do that, it will no longer be cattails. It'll actually look like a lake again. So again, it's very important to the restoration of Lake Druid. And I hope we can get everybody working together. We can clean up our part of the the city part, and we can get the residents to clean up their part as well, and getting Lake Druid back to a lake as opposed to a mess of cattails. That's all I had, Mayor. I know we have a lot of people here to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you. District 5, Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Of course, I would like to thank the Orlando Predators, Mr. Siegel and his team, on coming back downtown, but also going a step further. They are going to be working with me on making sure that their players and their dancers are engaged there in PKZ in the Paramore area, to where they will become mentors, and they will be matched up. Most of them are college graduates, and they will be matched up with youth in our community that are trying to obtain higher education. So I'd like to thank them for going that step further. Also, again, congratulations to Chief Williams of the Orlando Fire Department, and good luck to also Chief Miller on his new endeavors. It was a very moving ceremony there, the changing of the guard that took place last week. Also, again, congratulations to Mr. Donald Gandy on 37 years of service. I know you guys are going to miss him in your area.
Absolutely.
The Mayor's Summit. I tell you, this is a thank you to District 5 for the Mayor's Summit and the Mayor's Academy. The participation that my district, when I first came in office, I said we need to do this together by transforming our community. And they have really stepped up. Anytime I put out a call with participation here with the different programs at City Hall, we are well represented. And I wanted to say thank you all for becoming more civically engaged and representing us well. I think we had the highest participation ever in the Mayor's Academy this session. And also there at the Mayor's Summit, I think we outnumbered most folks with our HOAs. Came in close, Commissioner Stewart, but we're gunning for you. Another, and I'm not going to be long either because I know people are rearing to let their voices be heard. But a thank you to the Planning Department and Chief Mina and OPD, also Craig Borkin and Alan Johnson of the venues. Our last session, I was concerned that there was an issue with parking and road closures. And you heard the people's voice when I rode through on Sunday. There wasn't a barricade nowhere on the side streets. The community was quite excited. I was getting thumbs up everywhere, and they wanted to let me know and tell you guys thank you for giving them the opportunity also to be able to park cars. I mean, there wasn't one side road closed. There wasn't any roads closed near the churches. The churches were able to park. So thank you for hearing our voices and doing something about it. I saw that team effort. And with that, I do have a city website and a City Commissioner District 5 Facebook page where we update those events in different places that I am and different things that we're doing as a whole in the community on those pages. And if you'd like to know more what's going on in District 5, you can refer to those pages. So I'm going to yield my time this afternoon so that others can also let their voices be heard.
You have a motion on the consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
That was Commissioner Ings or Commissioner Hill?
Commissioner Ings.
Motion by Commissioner Ings, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, no CRA, no NID, no OPEB. Let's go ahead and knock out the ordinances on first read, Madam Clerk. Number 1.
This is ordinance 2015-5, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to change the future land use map designation for a portion of approximately 4.8 acres of land generally located north of West Gore Street, east of Lucerne Terrace, south of Ernestine Street, and west of Cool Avenue, from office medium intensity to mixed-use corridor high intensity, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2, Madam Clerk.
This is ordinance 2015-11, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to the Land Development Code, amending Part 3B, Chapter 65 relating to subdivisions to allow lot splits for lots of greater than 5 acres in area under certain circumstances, amending Section 62.200 to amend the definition of lot split, providing clarifying grammatical and technical amendments, providing for severability, codification, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Ings.
Ames.
Yes. Just can't tell between you and Commissioner Hill who's making the motions down there. Somebody in red, one way or the other.
Oh, okay.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3, Madam Clerk.
This is ordinance 2015-12, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to security fences, amending Section 58.930 Orlando City Code to define security fences, to prohibit security fences in certain locations, to provide special regulations for electrified fences, and to provide other regulations for security fences, providing for severability, codification, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ings, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to testify? Commissioner Sheehan.
And just a clarification that it cannot be barbed wire and before when it comes back to second reading. Thank you, Mayor.
That's the intent of the ordinance, but
Perfect.
we will make it more clear by specifically delineating that.
Thank you.
Further discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, second reads number 1.
This is ordinance 2015-10, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to change the future land use map designation for certain land associated with the L. Claudia Allen Senior Center, generally located to the east and west of Mabel Butler Avenue, just south of its intersection with Hage Way, and comprised of .508 acres of land, more or less, from residential low intensity in part and conservation in part to public, recreational, and institutional, changing the property zoning designation from the R1 Family Residential District to the Public District, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ings, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2, Madam Clerk.
This is ordinance 2015-6, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to historic preservation, designating certain land generally located at the southeast corner of the intersection of South Tampa Avenue and West Church Street and commonly known as Tinker Field as an Orlando historic landmark, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. Okay, this is the second reading and hearing for the historic landmark designation of Tinker Field. An important component of the designation are the plans to salvage and commemorate the site. Commissioner Hill will lead this effort, working closely with a Wells-built museum and a local history expert, which is Sarah Van Ardsdale in this case. Before we take public comment, I would like to have Alan give us an overview on the salvage process and next steps in developing the commemorative recognition. But before Alan does that, I'm going to have Kyle address slight modifications that we have made to the ordinance based on comments during the course of the first reading of the ordinance. So Kyle, if you'll give us a little overview of the changes or modifications that have been made between first and second read.
Sure, Mayor Dyer. Good afternoon. Kyle Shepard, Chief Assistant City Attorney. City Commissioners, before you today is proposed ordinance 2015-6. This is the ordinance that would designate Tinker Field an Orlando historic landmark. Based on feedback we received from the Commission last time and from input that we heard from stakeholders, we, staff, are proposing a number of amendments. I want to read through those amendments for you now. If you look at the version of the ordinance that you all have been provided today, at line 80, we update the acreage of the designated area from 2.3 acres to reflect the legal description, which is attached to the ordinance, and it's actually 6.18 acres. At line 106, we provide a whereas clause expressing council's intent to salvage historic objects before demolition of the stadium. especially those that are useful for the historic commemoration plan. At line 115, we provide a whereas clause expressing council's intent that the district commissioner play a meaningful role in developing the plan of commemoration and a meaningful role in the public participation that goes on in the development of that plan. At lines 134 and 136, based on comments made by Commissioner Sheehan, we make it clear that monuments, signs, plaques, and other objects of commemoration that may be installed at Tinkerfield are subject to review and approval by a certificate of appropriateness pursuant to our land development code. And as I told you last time, that means that that construction would have to be reviewed by the city's historic preservation officer, the city's historic preservation board, and they would make a recommendation onto you, and you would have final approval authority. At line 141, we provide that temporary structures associated with a temporary use are exempt from a certificate of appropriateness, but we add the following, and this was based on feedback we got from a citizen. Only, but only, if the temporary structures do not undermine the lasting historic integrity of Tinkerfield, and that after the temporary use ceases, the infield and the outfield are to be returned to their historic condition as a baseball field. That was always the intent. This makes that clear in the ordinance. Then if you look at line 147, we add a new section, section 2, entitled Historic Commemoration, and it does a number of things, but let me sum it up this way. It provides that the city will develop a plan for the appropriate commemoration of the historic events and persons associated with Tinkerfield. That plan may include the preservation and display of historic objects currently existing at Tinkerfield, and it may also include the construction of monuments, signs, plaques, and other objects of commemoration. The plan will be developed with the assistance of the Wells-Built Museum and a recognized expert in local history. As you heard, that's Sarah Van Arsdale. The public will be given an opportunity to provide input in the development of the plan of commemoration. And this section also reiterates that the construction of monuments, signs, plaques, and other objects of commemoration at Tinkerfield will require review and approval by certificate of appropriateness, which includes review and recommendation by the Historic Preservation Officer and the Historic Preservation Board before a final decision by City Council. Finally, and this goes without saying, Section 2 provides that the city will, of course, provide for the ongoing maintenance of Tinkerfield. So that's a summary of the changes we've made between first and second reading.
Questions of Kyle?
Yes, I have one.
Commissioner Haynes.
Thank you, Mayor. One question, Kyle, and that is, what role does the Historic Preservation Officer play? The question to Kyle Shepard is, what role does the Historic Preservation Officer play in this as well? You've listed the others, the commissioner, the museum, and another person, but our very own Historic Preservation Officer, what role do they play in this?
Commissioner, same role he plays in the review of any application for certificate of appropriateness. So it's the same process that our land development code provides for any other certificate application. He will take in that application, he'll review it, and then make a recommendation on to the Historic Preservation Board about whether to approve with conditions, or deny the application.
Okay, Alan?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm hoping I'm live here. Thank you. Thanks, Ed. So how we're going to commemorate the history of Tinkerfield. First, by Friday, March 27th, our staff has already started this process. We've had a couple of reviews through that, but also you, the commissioners, and Wells-Built and Sarah Van Arsdale will have an opportunity to make a tour of the Tinkerfield and help us identify those historic items to be saved and salvaged and to be used at a future, date. Obviously, some of the historic elements include the seating area, the original seating area from the senators. We guess there's less than 1,000 of those that are salvageable, but we're going to make our best effort. Some of those in more recent years were replaced. The wooden seats were replaced with aluminum, so the historic value may have diminished because of that change years ago. Obviously, some signs near the concession stand and outside the field near the box office. To develop the plan is to use the commemorative design on site, to donate to museums, or to auction with proceeds to go to charity. Those are some of the suggestions that we have on how to use those commemorative items. And Wells built in Sarah Van Arsdale, to work with Commissioner Hill and City Council to develop a plan to commemorate history, and the plan to be commemorate to be presented within 6 months. And that's all, Mayor.
Alan, your office will coordinate any visitation or tour by city council?
Any and all, yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Hill, did you have a question?
Yeah, also, we are planning on April the 4th for the public to come out and, as you would say, be able to tour Tinkerfield before, if it's passed today, before demolition of the stands. And we're going to do a community event with entertainment, picture taking, or whatever, and also thoughts of what you would hope should be salvaged also. So the public will have input on April the 4th on what they think is also important there at Tinkerfield. And this isn't something that I thought of. I've been getting constant emails from others here in the community that ask, can we bring our son to Tinkerfield one more time? Can me as a grandmother that sat there with my youth come to Tinkerfield one more time? So this is something not that Regina Hill or Commissioner Hill has thought about. This is a request from the community at large.
And Alan, you guys will, I assume, make the path as safe as possible.
Yes, Mayor, we will.
Okay. Okay, any further questions? Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Last council, I voted against it because I still have some concerns and doubts that the field could possibly be a turnaround and we could use it as a field. But I went and consulted with some experts or some people that do know about baseball. And they went and visited the fields, and we checked for the possibility of this, creating that alleged monster wall, and also about changing the diamond to a different position. But the answer was no. And after consideration and thinking, well, if we can turn the field into a baseball field to what used to be, what good is the bleachers going to do to us, and especially when they're deteriorating? So I'm planning on changing my vote to a yes vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stewart?
Yeah, Alan, I know that we have been approached by some other fields from around the state, especially Central Florida, would like to look at the use of our stands as well. So in terms of developing salvaged items, are we open to be able to either donate or make available some of the seats, some of the framework to groups? And if we are, what's the best way to approach that? To contact you?
They can. The city does have a disposal process. Byron, help me with that. The disposal process for excess goods. There's a process, right?
Yes, I missed the question.
Sorry. So the city has a process set in place that we would institute that place for items of value.
Okay, but the developed plan salvaged items, the assumption is that there's more than 3 options that's available to us, I'm assuming, unless we've already pre-approved auction as one of those choices.
It is listed as one of those, correct?
Okay, but donation to a museum is the only choice, is donation to a museum, not to another municipality?
If there's interest, we certainly can explore possibilities of other local governments. I believe, was it Lakeland or someone had mentioned, or
Yeah, Leesburg had talked about doing
that's what it was.
something,
Okay,
yeah.
Leesburg. So certainly, there's some possibilities from a local government to local government,
Yeah.
or governmental jurisdiction to governmental jurisdiction. That's one of the possibilities. And then for items that typically are it's open auction items, we have used a service to assist in that in past efforts.
Yeah, I guess the question I'm asking is that if somebody has another municipality wants to possibility of using some of these, and there's not a need for them or not an auction or something, that you just need to process to contact y'all. So
Correct, yes,
I
they
guess
can
probably
contact us
go
I
through
think
you,
what we
Alan,
want to do,
Yes.
Commissioner, is exactly that. If there's somebody that wants to use
just get them to y'all.
200 or 500 or whatever it is, we'll probably make those available. But also, I want to, if there are people
Everyday
that
citizens.
want to have 2 seats, I think they're either 2 or 4 together,
Yeah.
right, the way they're configured.
They're a little more challenging. We are working on how they can be salvaged. It had the same problem we, took down the old arena, the Amway. We had the same thing. The seats had to stand built for them because they were rail mounted to the back. So we'll go through that process to see what's salvageable. And of course, we want something to go to the museum. Obviously, some to stay on site to be commemorative as there as well.
Yeah, and I guess I'm just trying to get them to you, and then some
Sure.
way to have a communication device that will allow us
Send them to me, and I'll get them to the right person if it's not me.
Yeah. And is anybody going to make any cufflinks out of them?
That hasn't been suggested yet, but we're going to put that to the list. I guess.
I've got some from Wrigley Field, so I wouldn't mind some from Tinkerfield as well. All right, good, thank you.
Commissioner Hill.
And also, what I want to be known, that not only organizations or municipalities, that we're going to also, during some of the meetings, have conversation and dialogue to where everyday citizens can also be able to take some memorabilia or some of those seats home because they sat at them or their children sat in them at some point.
Sure, and I guess just make sure I'm being specific. There is probably a charge to reassemble those, and that's what we did in the old arena.
That's what the auctions.
Correct. That's what we did in the old arena. Exactly.
They will be able to also
Yes, ma'am.
purchase at a minimum.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Alan. We'll move into public comment, and I do have 10 cards, so if there's anybody that hasn't filled out a card that would like to participate, please do so now. So number 1 is Doug Head, followed by Joshua Palladino and Emmett Odell. Doug, you're up. So you'll have state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Doug Head. I live at 1415 West Robinson in the shadow of this is Tinkerfield, not Picard yet.
I think you're a little premature with that.
A little premature. We'll wait. But good shot. I live at 1415 West Robinson in the shadow of Tinkerfield and in District 5. And I want to thank the venues people and particularly Commissioner Hill and the staff and all of the members of the council who have taken time to think seriously about this issue. We're here today because somehow or other in the planning process we dropped the ball in terms of understanding the encroachment by the Citrus Bowl onto historic Tinker Field. And it is my continued belief, although Commissioner Ortiz has indicated he's got different information, that there's potential for use for baseball on this site. So that's a debate, however, for another day. What I wanted to say today is that significant progress has been made on this ordinance between first reading and second reading. I'm delighted to that progress has been made. I don't know whether there's something I missed, but as I read it now, I think it's a good ordinance. It provides adequate public input and adequate protections for Tinkerfield, and it's going to deal with the reality of the situation on the ground as best we can under the current circumstances. I appreciate the work done by the venues people and by Commissioner Hill's office to improve the ordinance, and by all of you to in support of the new ordinance. So thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Joshua Palladino.
Hi, I'm Joshua Palladino, 1415 West Robinson Street also. First, I'd like to say congratulations to the Orlando City Lions and their strong effort, which still led inevitably to sort of the same situation that we with Save in Tinkerfield have faced. But the Orlando City Lions remains a benefiting name, keeping in the theme of the city, at least when it comes to Tinkerfield, as the Orlando City Commission's still been lying to us the entire time, every step of the way. Once again, Tinkerfield is before this commission, and once again, we are here to try to preserve our community's original venue, a historic monument that was put on Buddy's bulldoze list, and well before the community had any chance to provide any input on it. Thankfully, through our hard work and our community outreach efforts, we've extended the stay of execution for Tinkerfield. This council regularly creates the illusion that it seeks the community's input, but creates meetings designed to be exclusive to the average Joe. I thank you, Commissioner Gray, for your yielding of time, because usually this is something that runs very long. as it did 2 weeks ago. The homeowners associations that are within the shadows of the Citrus Bowl have unanimously voted to preserve Tinker Field, as recommended by the Historic Preservation Board, along with the West Lakes Community Group that the city helped to create, which is comprised of members of all these homeowners associations and businesses within the community. Actions speak volumes. What does it say when our local governance, when it fails to reflect the wishes of its community that it's supposed to represent? It proves that we no longer have a representative government. In my opinion, the only people who have opposed the preservation effort are those who have been misled by the city during its misinformation campaign. And I'm here today on behalf of Rock Lake and the backup member of the West Lakes Council to put it on the record that we as a community have been robbed of social and economic prosperity. Tinker Field is still a usable and playable field for minor league teams. Tinker Field has team prospects willing to relocate. The city has failed to do its due diligence when it oversaw this major venues project, which caused the Citrus Bowl to encroach in the first place. The city has failed to do a proper assessment of Tinker Field before it had deemed it too expensive to be preserved. And for the record, we were here in February of 2014. The assessment began in May, and it was finished in July. And it was presented to the Orlando City Council August 2014. Tinker Field continues to be a in-the-black revenue generator, and it has for years, hosting concerts and festivals, but it was presented to be a black hole sucking the city dry. Venues Director Johnson has misled or flat out lied several times in many presentations and to Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs about crucial information regarding Tinker Field. Lastly, turning Tinker Field into a parking lot, which in our opinion still seems to be the city's long-term plan, will continue to rob our community of social and economic prospects. This past weekend, during the last soccer game, we actually had cars extending over the pitcher's mound. You can actually see it in pictures, which I unfortunately wasn't able to bring, but these pictures show that cars are literally on the mound. What I find most disturbing, though, is how time and time again we were promised that it wouldn't be, and by the venues department, that it wouldn't be turned into a parking lot, but yet on another occasion it was. I plead that you do what's right, which is to preserve Tinker Field as described by the Historic Preservation Board, a proposal supported by Rock Lake Community, the West Lakes Community, and the other homeowners associations that live within the shadows of the Citrus Bowl. It's our community, it's our decision, and representative government reflects the wishes of those it represents. Anything else is tyranny. Thank you.
Emmett Odell.
Good afternoon. I'm Emmett Odell. I live at 717 31st Street, Orlando 32805. Thank you for giving me the time once again to speak to you. I know you're as tired of seeing me as I'm as tired of being here. This has been going on since January of last year. Most of my comments were reflected on the ordinance that appeared Thursday on the agenda for today. I see that it's been changed today, which is grateful in that the venues department totally came out of control of everything in Section 2. As of last week, that's been removed. I haven't had time to really go through it since I just got it once I got here to see if there's embedded somewhere else that actually the control goes back to the venues department. This has been a farce since day one. There was never any public input taken from the beginning. There was never any options given to save Tinker Field prior to, the demolition of the old Citrus Bowl when it was announced here at a city council meeting. There was never an authority brought in to look at the field. I've had people that said, yes, it's playable. Commissioner Stewart says, no, it's not playable. Commissioner Ortiz says he's had someone talk to him and says it's not playable. But there hasn't been an official call to get an official ruling on that. To me, if this ordinance passes, the city will have got just what they planned to do in the very beginning with the Citrus Bowl plans. They will have a parking lot for VIP goers for the Citrus Bowl. That's exactly what's going to happen, and it'll be surrounded by monuments, tombstones, if you will, around the perimeter. I find that a true shame. I mean, what if I suggested that during the Daisy Electric Parade, or whatever that's called, that you funnel parking into the new Citrus Bowl. There's plenty of room in there. There's entrances that for entrance and then egress. Make a great parking lot. You would go nuts if I suggested that. So why do you think we're nuts that we think it's horrible for historic Tinkerfield to be turned into a parking lot? And that's exactly what's been demonstrated. If that was not going to be the truth, then it wouldn't have been for every one of these events since the new Citrus Bowl opened. I just ask you to please vote no on this, because if there's not a plan for baseball to come back to Tinkerfield before this ordinance passes, it will never happen in my lifetime. I can assure you of that. Thank you.
Commissioner Hill.
In August, when we, the council, and I asked to defer this ordinance till I have public input, and I'm not trying to call anyone out, but I did just what Emmett O'Doon wanted me to do. He stood here and asked me and asked the council to save Tinkerfield. I truly believe, and it pains me, that I have, along with the council, saved Tinkerfield. I recall it was only originally the mound, the diamond. Well, now we've extended it to over 6 acres. And he's suggested that the stadium wasn't his concern. He stated that we can knock down the grandstand, but he wanted to preserve the field, infield and outfield. And that's just what I fought for. I fought for that, and we got that. And thank you. And
We
you
don't
know,
need comments from the public unless you're at the podium.
And I tried my best, and you know, when the citizens asked me to do something, I think I need more clarity, and versus going back and changing it at the end, because we stood here, and that's just what you asked me to do, is save Tinkerfield. And today, this vote will save Tinkerfield. And I was told the grandstands wasn't important. And so I would hope that we be more clear, and also that we don't, meaning we, the people, don't distort the truth in the acts. The acts was to save Tinkerfield. And I was told that the grandstands wasn't a big concern because they understood the configuration of those stands wouldn't allow baseball, and to put nothing permanent back on that field unless it was baseball related for the future.
We got you, Commissioner. Okay, sir, we're going in the order that the cards were turned in. Have you turned in a blue card?
Can I proceed?
No. We're going in the order that I have a whole set of people that have turned cards in. Have you turned one of these in? Have you turned in an appearance request card?
Mayor, I think he turned in one for the general appearance. The pink
Yes, we're not finished with Tinkerfield yet.
I understand. You want to know my name?
Sir, sir, it's not your turn to speak just yet.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Stella Lewis, and then Alexander Gill, and then Reverend James Watkins.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Stella M. Lewis. I reside at 843 Wooden Boulevard, Orlando, Florida, 32805. First of all, I would like to say to the mayor and to the commissioner, I have been very excited down through the years as to what the council has done in terms of upgrading the city of Orlando. Very pleased with the Amway Arena. It is in District 5 also. You guys decided to renovate the Citrus Bowl, which is in District 5, which I think is great, and it has brought more dollars and cents to the area. You also okayed the performing arts, which is not in District 5, but a lot of money, millions, $500 million has been spent on the Performing Arts Center, $480 million on the Amway Center, $200+ million on the Citrus Bowl renovation, and now we're getting ready to have the creation of the soccer field at approximately $84 million. As a member of the Black community, we are excited about all of these things because it brings more jobs and opportunities to our area. However, as it relates to the Tinkerfield, we are saddened by the fact that you are willing to destroy a historical site. You might not think so by putting a plaque or a monument on the grass area, but your Commissioner Hill just mentioned that there was a gentleman that came previously and said that the stands were not viable or important, or he didn't think it was necessary, whatever terminology he used. However, the stands is what makes it a baseball field. And I've done some research, and the other thing that is so sad is that the Tinker Field is a national historical site. It is over 100 years as far as baseball fields throughout the nation. There's only 2 or 3 others, and you are thinking about destroying this. How can you possibly? It's not just for the Black people, it's for the whites, Hispanics, everyone here in the Orlando area to be able to see a structure that was built many years ago and has that historical value. We had Martin Luther King come to Orlando and speak from Tinker Field. We had Jackie Robinson play on Tinker Field. He was one of the first Black baseball players that was recognized and allowed to play. So there's a lot of historical information that will be disintegrated by your destroying the stands. I think it was Commissioner Ortiz and Commissioner Stewart that mentioned that they had individuals come and take a look at the field to see if there could be some renovation done so we could still have the grandstand seats. I don't know who you guys used, but it would be kind of interesting to know who you used and how they came to that understanding, because I've been in touch with others that have indicated that there is the possibility that you could change, especially in light of the fact that recently, I guess you've added to the ordinance that the acreage is 6.1 or whatever it is acres instead of what it was before. So I would think that there would be plenty of room for that to be taken care of. Some of the things that you might not be aware of that Tinker Field was used for, back in April 5th, 1939, Tinker Field hosted the Newark Eagles and Homestead Grays, 2 of the best Negro League teams, including Josh Gibson and 6 other future Hall of Famers. On April 7th, 1939, acclaimed sports writer Shirley Provich from the Washington Daily was at the Negro Leagues game at Tinker Field and was impressed that he produced a pivotal article advocating for integration of Major League Baseball, which elevated the conversation to national level. So Tinker Field is not known to just Orlando or to Florida. It is known nationally, and you guys are thinking about destroying that. How can you do that? You should exercise as much energy in preserving Tinker Field as you did for the Citrus Bowl, which we are happy about. We're glad that you did that. But you have not really allowed the public, those of us that live in the area surrounding Tinker Field, surrounding Citrus Bowl, we have done the best we can to go along with what's been suggested because we felt it was the best thing to do. This is a time we're coming forward, I am coming forward, to say to you, you need to put more time and energy into this. You've spent millions and millions and hundreds of
20
millions
seconds.
of dollars.
Stella, 20 seconds.
20 seconds. On all of these other events. We are asking you to please reconsider of restoring the grandstand for Little League Baseball or whatever we can use it for as a baseball field. Thank you very much.
Alexander Gill, then Reverend James Watkins, and then Cynthia Harris. Is Alexander Gill here?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Congratulations on Orlando becoming one of the fastest growing cities in the
Would
nation.
you please state your name for us?
My name is Alexander Gill.
Okay. And address?
My address is 1701 Orlando, Florida, 32805. So I am Alexander Gill, and I am a native of Orlando, Florida. I love my city and believe it's about time that we rise and become one of the more prominent cities such as New York, Las Vegas, and San Francisco. Now, but not like this. I am from the Tinkerfield community, which is predominantly an African-American community. Now, originally back in the 1940s, during segregated times, blacks were zoned to live in these downtown areas. Now, we created many businesses and culture in Orlando. Fast forward to now, and many businesses are struggling to stay afloat. The residents and business owners within the community use the Citrus Bowl as an asset to make extra money so that we can reinvest that money into our businesses so that it can grow and flourish in the end, which ultimately looks better for the city of Orlando. However, you have seen the images from over the weekend, and I park cars on my grandfather's house every event. I would be able to pack the lot with at least 30 cars. But since the city has gotten involved and started to regulate traffic and use city property to park cars on their own lots, many residents have suffered from these actions. I know from yesterday's game I only got 5 cars on my lot, and I couldn't charge them $20 because there was no high demand in that area. So consumers paid less than $10 for a spot that was closer to the event. This not only happened to me, but many neighbors and residents did not even bother to park cars because they believed it was a waste of time. According to Bloomberg News, 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs who start businesses fell within the first 18 months. With not much income from these added opportunities, our already struggling businesses within the community now have a chokehold on them. I don't know if you know this, Mayor or Commissioners, but you are killing African-American businesses within the community. I ask that you will work with us in coming up with a solution that will benefit both the community and the city. And apart from Tinkerfield, I believe that the easiest way to save Tinkerfield would be able to go with Ted Haddock's proposal, which is a $21 million plan to, which we could easily get from a couple of billionaires to create this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend James Watkins, and then Cynthia Harris, and then Steve Prince.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the commissioner and also the mayor for giving me the opportunity. My name is Pastor James Watkins, 1543 New Amsterdam Way. I pastor Greater St. Paul AME Church, 1040 South Paramore. In reality, I really can't believe we're having this conversation far as destroying a historical site of over 100 years. I do applaud you for all the accomplishments that have been made in the Tinkerfield area. One thing I think we have overlooked, and that is the children. There's not much that we can show children in the African American community, the historical sites that relates to us. And destroying Tinkerfield will be taking away another part of black history that is greatly valued by every African American. One thing I noticed, on your walls you have history, pictures on both sides. All we're asking is give us the same opportunity to restore history for our children, not to tell them about it, but to be able to show them. So this is all that we are asking. taking away more from the black community is not helping. Is another nail in the coffin. Thank you.
Thank you. Cynthia Harris, and then Steve Prince, and then Tracy Anderson.
Cynthia Harris, 12 Shannon Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32811. In August 2014, I said, if you build it, they will come. Those were the words resonated in the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Only today, the residents will no longer have dreams in a city beautiful, but now nightmares. Nightmares of losing Tinker Field. The nightmares of cars parked on a field of history. Nightmares of the homeless sleeping on the field of history. Because when they're run down from downtown, when you build a sports complex for the Magic, what have you, they'll be coming across 441 and they'll be sleeping on the field of history. The nightmare of the once memories of the many baseball greats who once played on Tinker Field. The nightmare of our children not knowing the history of Tinker Field, because we won't be able to show them anything. The constant nightmare of the Electric Daisy Carnival, where the noise ordinance don't apply to black folks, because you can hear that noise for 3 miles, as if it is in your living room. We said if you build it, we will come. Well, here we come. You built a new Citrus Bowl, and we have come. You built a performing arts center, and we have come. You built soccer, and we have come. If you build it, we will come. We're just asking to invest a small portion into Tinker Field. $10 million is what we were told that all it takes. And there's plenty of people here that say we will come. If the city doesn't want it, we're here, we will come. We will build it, let us have it. That's all we ask. Let us have a piece of history, because we don't have anything left in District 5 that applies to black folks. They all been destroyed. Again, if you build it, we will come. Thank you.
Steve Prince, Tracy Anderson, Kathy Hediger.
Steve Prince, 2674 Santana Avenue. Today happens to be my very first time in this chamber. I'm honored to be here. To be honest with you, in this chamber, you've done some great things in terms of planning the city. It's becoming a big city. We now have a soccer stadium being built. We have a new renovated Citrus Bowl, and we have the Art Center, and of course we have the Amway Arena. We have many things. However, we do not have a baseball stadium. There sits one. Commissioner Stewart, I understand that you're a baseball man. I happen to be a baseball man myself. I've sat with greatness. Mr. Mike Ilitch, who owns the Detroit Red Wings as well as Detroit Tigers, happens to be a friend of mine. He's invested in programs that I've worked on in the past. All I had to do was ask, and he delivered. Today I'm going to ask the commissioners to deliver something as well. Commissioner Ortiz, you indicated that you had some persons come in and they looked at the stadium and said it couldn't be used as a baseball stadium. I respectfully say that it can be used as a baseball stadium. And I say this because I know the dimensions of what's going to be required. I know right field, all you need is 312 feet to make it a viable stadium. And if it happens to be a non-minor league game, if it happens to be maybe a semi-pro or high school, something of that nature, you can get away with with a smaller right field. It is a field that can be used if we want to use it. Now, there's going to be some costs associated with demolition. I don't know what those figures are. However, the same cost that's being used can be used to build it up rather than tear it down. Now, the previous speaker indicated that let us have it. Well, I represent a nonprofit person, a nonprofit organization. I'm also a person that my profession, I'm in the profession of sports and entertainment. I know numbers, I know stadiums. I also know what you can fit into an arena. Now, the Tinker Field could very well be used as an asset for this community. One of the things that it could be used for, each year, the state of Florida they have state tournaments on the high school level. It could be homed here. It could be housed over here. That would generate some revenue. The gentleman indicated that he was unable to park. On those occasions, if you had a few baseball games there, he would be able to park. But moreover, Tinker Field could be used as a place for international baseballs. Venezuela, they have a national team. Cuba, they have a national team. Puerto Rico, they have a national team. You have all of these national teams that we can bring into this city to fill up hotels, to fill up the eateries on occasions when the Magic are not playing, the Predators are not playing, and the Lions are not playing. If we invested just a little bit in that venue, then it could be used to generate revenue for the city rather than cost the city money. Now, additionally, I would strongly urge each and every one of you that vote today to denounce it being declared a historic designation. Because once you declare the historic designation, under those circumstances, what are you going to have? You're going to have a baseball diamond. It serves no purpose. The city would be better suited to use it for whatever purpose rather than put a statue of Martin Luther King and Jackie Robinson, one on one side and one on another side. It's a waste of land. Land is essential to all people. You know, I'll say free the land. When I say free the land, I'm telling you as a body to give it to the people. You could take upon a proposal. There's a number of nonprofit organizations who would be willing to take on. I would donate my time and my money to the city to build Tinker Field, to rebuild it. It's not a major endeavor. Again, it's going to cost money to tear it down. But the most important thing is you would have another venue in the city that can be used. Now, you do have a group of downtrodden persons in this community, and over, I don't know, the last 6 or 7 years it hadn't been used, but traditionally, Tinker Field was used as an added venue for the Florida Classic. Now, I would say to you, and I say this strongly, do you want the crowd that attends the Florida Classic in our new Performing Arts Center? I would say no. I wouldn't want that crowd.
20 seconds.
Commissioner, you're looking befuddled. Here's the deal. You have, I'll use the term street people. The same type of person that goes to the Daisy Festival, many times the Classic draws those same people, the same people that law enforcement have to exert pressure on. From a law enforcement standpoint, it's better to have them confined rather than have them.
Time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And just for the record, they had a jazz concert the Friday night before the Florida Classic, specifically tailored toward people who are coming here for the Florida Classic. So we do welcome people from the Florida Classic to the Dr. Phillips Center. Tracy Anderson and Kathy Hettinger. Okay. Ed, can you bring a mic over there?
I'd like to call your attention to just a few words.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know where that came from exactly.
I appreciate it. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the government. That whatever form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. Now, understanding that, let's take a look at what's happening in Tinkerfield. Numerous citizens have appeared before you to express their concerns for the preservation of this historic site. They have appealed to your sense of history. They have expressed their desire of the people. They have presented a perfect plan for revitalization of Tinkerfield. That is, and still you turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the people. The seats you sit in are not your birthright, neither are they tailor-made to fit. Anyone who gets our vote may sit there, whether they are turned honestly, whether they are obtained honestly or fraudulently. You serve at the pleasure of the people, and the people are disappointed and unhappy. However, the east side, you rather to support them. The people want to save a 125-year-old tree, you make it happen. But when the west side wants to preserve history, you turn your back on it, and the perfect plan which was derived by Ted Haddon, who had researched this quite well. The plan that he derived honors the fact, honors the past, and also illuminates the future. I ask you to reconsider what you're thinking and what you're doing, because the people have spoken, and we want Tinkerfield the way it is. Thank you. Have a good day.
Ms. Anderson, would you state your name and your address?
I'm sorry.
Name and address.
My name is Tracy Anderson. I live at 2801 Lake Sunset Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32805.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kathy Hettinger, and then Trini Coro.
Kathy Hettinger, 2827 Eastern Parkway, Winter Park, Florida. Can you imagine if we went back to the playground or the sandbox? I would need a shiny new toy to be your friend or to help you out. Mi amigo, mon ami, my buddy, my friend. Who would want to have that kind of amigo? So pardon me, but the city seems to be off chasing something shiny in an immature way. And time again, we are faced with something else. You raise taxes 18%, and you even keep city jobs among your staff. I've talked of potholes and police. Now, paved paradise put in a parking lot. My dad had no sons, so we were raised talking to Dad, facing forward at a baseball stadium. When he left for months afterward, even when my daughter was 2, every time she saw baseball, I heard Gaga, Gaga. He was known in his town as a Democrat lawyer among Republicans and beloved by all. Memories. Perhaps some of you think that's silly, or think his flying to see us for spring training was silly. And heck, how can such non-lucrative things matter at all? But what about the shiny toys you have for kowtowing to whoever? And ignoring us, certainly. You can't even honor someone who stopped urban blight, who made us safer and happier. And I say the things we care about are big, mature things. And as elected officials who need to consider these things and stop thinking small and actually grow up.
Trini, I don't think I said your last name right, so you'll help me out. If you just state your name and your address.
Good afternoon. Trini Quiroz, 11305 Spinning Reel, Orlando. I'm an East Sider, but I'm an everywhere person. While I heard the speakers, I couldn't help to think that just last year, in the month of January, I sat and stood in front of Tinkerfield with the one person who received Dr. Martin Luther King when he came 50 years ago to the city of Orlando. I'm referring to Dr. Charlene Jean Salter. She was there with her son, who was a child, whose late father was at the hotel talking to Martin Luther King about Orlando and the people of Orlando that he came to meet at Tinker Field. You don't have to be black, white, or Hispanic to feel history. If you know anything about history, we know that history is bound to repeat itself when you do not uplift it, when you do not preserve it. As a person of Hispanic heritage, I feel very strongly that what you want to do in your hearts is good, but it's not good for the people who have to live with their memories. I treasure history. I live history. I was there 50 years ago. I have been part of the civil rights movement, and I had the pictures to prove it. They were just given to me this week by someone who had treasured those pictures for all these 46 long years. So I beseech you. I don't know how else to talk to you because everybody has been so kind and so nice when what they feel in their heart is something else. But I guess it's better to speak with an olive branch than with the machete in the hand. Think, if you don't care about Tinker Field, we do. Last year, I was at Tinker Field, and some of the people sitting here were there with me. We had a picture to prove it. The Orlando Sentinel and Channel 9 recorded it. And the year before, I marched with the Jackie Robinson group in the Martin Luther King parade. So I ask you, do not provoke the citizens. Listen to them, because when the just people govern, the people rejoice. Thank you.
All right, that was the last appearance request card that I had. Any others, Madam Clerk?
No, Mayor.
Okay, discussion among commissioners. Commissioner Ings and Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to echo to all of the citizens that came and spoke today, because clearly, if we were doing this correctly, this ordinance will show that not only the field but the grandstands contributed a lot to the history of the city of Orlando and bridging a community that was desperately divided. And here we talk about and we look at opportunities, but we had to grow from somewhere. And with that growth, people took chances, they took opportunities to step forward, to break the barrier, and to allow the mixing of races on a baseball field, which transcend throughout the city of Orlando. It was in 1970. Well, actually, it was in 1967 when I went to Boone High School. And at that time, in 67, it was freedom of choice, that it was just opening up, that we can go to the white schools, but we had to provide our own transportation to get there. Just in 67. So even with these 63 grandstands, it still means a lot to the history and the vibrancy of a community that worked so hard to make it right. And now we are a diverse city. And this really should not be an argument for saving the grandstands. It should be an argument about how can we find the financing to make this happen. The true test is for us not to rush to tear down, but the real test is for us to come together and how can we invest in our community and in the grandstands to make this a total project. To preserve just the field is not enough. And really, you know, and I know in my heart that we as a commission can make a difference, but we've got to stand up to it. And when we look at the years of decay and disrepair that the city has allowed to happen at Tinker Field, And now we want to tear it down because we have been negligent. You know, it's really a criminal offense if you really look at it. And it's something that we're not even holding anybody accountable for, wherein we should. And I think that when we try to patronize the community by providing the Wells-Built Museum, a local historian and a local commissioner to come up with a plan on how we would commemorate and save, we should have been working all along with how can we really save Tinker Field and come up with the financing to make it happen. The one thing that I do know is that I've even had a friend of mine who knows a couple of investors out there that were willing to come up with $10 million to try to help with the effort, since the city is saying it can't come up with any money, it's broke, and it's difficult to come up with $10 million. But just last week, we voted to buy some property that Fannie Mae owned and then sell it out to another company, and then we've got other parcels to sell. So where did all of that money come from all of a sudden? We do exactly what we want to do. And I want you to know, City of Orlando, that to clear out the stands and make an open field so that the Electric Daisy concert can come in and enjoy itself once a year is not a social redeeming value for our community. As a matter of fact, I was just told this past weekend that at Fairway Cove Homeowners Association, that even with the Electric Daisy going on in downtown Orlando, Fairway Cove is located off of Hiawassee Road, and they were wondering, where is all of this music coming from? It was so loud as if it was in their backyard. Now, it's transcend all the way over there. And is that what we really want in our community? And especially those seniors that are living west of Tampa Avenue. They are not calling the police about turning down the loud music. They are afraid to get involved. We are the ones that have to stand for these seniors, and we are the ones that have to really make a difference. If we vote no on this today, I would offer up a motion that we vote to preserve Tinker Field and the grandstands as it should be. Thank you.
Commissioner Stewart.
Let me cover a couple just quick comments from and just reaction to some of the comments that we've heard. Let me kind of go back briefly, just from just trying to, I'm not trying to single anybody out, but some of the comments that we've heard. It's been a year, and we've asked people to please come and communicate and contact us as often as they have. I don't know that we've had a valid proposal. I think probably Alan would probably agree with me. We probably have not had any kind of valid proposal. And I wrote down, my comment was, where have you been for a year? And so I'm a little concerned, and it seems that the idea of solving this problem is to solve it with a few people who are very vocal on the issue. And I think I understand that, but the people that I talk to in my district say, tear it down, and do something with the park that commemorates the history. Now, that's what they tell me, and I think that they are people who have been in town a little bit longer than me, so over 60 years. The second concern that, and some had made a comment that we've not talked to people about the field itself, and can the field be used, and who have we talked to professionally about that? At the last meeting, we were provided a letter from the director of minor league baseball that basically said, thanks but no thanks. Nobody's going to play baseball on that field anymore, not in minor league baseball. So if somebody has got some money that they would like to provide for us to do something different, it's not minor league baseball or their current owners. So that's great. That's a good option. If somebody's got it, we'd love to talk to them about it. The second is that when you look at the space of that field, this is a comment I've said now for a year, I guess, that field has to be moved to play baseball. So, and as I've said before, so therefore, let's move the field and play baseball. But there are purists who are telling us that we cannot move the field and you can play baseball where the field is. You cannot play baseball where that field is. I had an argument this past weekend with a very devout baseball player, a baseball enthusiast, and his answer was, well, we can just take that 90-foot diamond, we can make it into a 60-foot diamond, and then we can play Little League baseball, and then we can move the Little League baseball out to the side, and then we can put some plaques in the field about Little League baseball. And I thought, okay, now let me just tell you what you said. You said that you're going to put an obstruction inside the field of play, so whatever obstruction you put cannot now be used as a field of play. It doesn't fall into the Little League baseball rules and their own insurance policy. So you can't put something in the field and be able to play in the field. That's not possible. So if you were to shorten the field to make it a 225-foot fence, that would be acceptable for 60-foot diamond. You again now modify the field. Purists don't want you to modify the field. I understand that. But you kind of, as my mom would say, you can't have your cake and kind of eat it too. You've got to figure out which are the two that's important. And I believe the most important thing is take a 90-foot diamond with as much as the outfit as we possibly can, and to recognize that as the history of in the industry of Orlando. Now, the last part, which it always kind of drives me crazy, is the stands. In respect to Commissioner Ings, he and I don't agree on this issue, and that's okay. I don't agree with my wife sometimes, much less Commissioner Ings. But the stands were built sometime, and I guess, Ted, if you'll correct me if I'm wrong, they were completed sometime in 1964, as best we can tell. Nod your head, it's 63 or 64. So all the issues of all the Negro Leagues and all of the issues with Jackie Robinson and all the issues related to prior to 1964, those stands weren't there. So here's a crazy idea. Why don't we figure out how to play baseball on that stands and maybe build a replica of what those stands looked like when it was time to when it was playing baseball. Well, you can't do that with the current stands. Those stands are 53 years old. In fact, when we submitted in 2004, those stands didn't, I guess 2002, those stands didn't even match the criteria as a historical building. So now all of a sudden they have matched that criteria as a minimum of 50 years, but the process now becomes a little bit more difficult. The mayor's original plan was to bring forth something that would, at least I thought it was a pretty good idea, the idea of bringing something that would salvage the stands inside, place it in a place where we could play baseball on there, but they have to move the field to accomplish that task. And that kind of got sideways in this process. So what I see in front of me is a way not to destroy Little Tinkerfield, but actually a way to salvage it. And that is to take the area, make it larger than the current field itself, which is what is currently the National Historic Area, and then be able to provide for us sometime in the next 6 months a plan that would say, here's where we want to go, here's how we want to accomplish that task, and can we accomplish it, and can we raise the money to accomplish that task. You could build a pretty good, on the area, not in the field, you can build a pretty good a high school baseball stand. You could invite cooperative teams to come down. You couldn't put more than 1,000 to 2,000 seats there with maybe some seats along the side. So you're not going to do a really big deal. But you could do a regional baseball game, and that would be kind of a fun thing to do. It could be used as a home team for a home field for several other smaller schools. That's a great idea. Those are all choices I think are ahead of us. But if the idea is that the diamond cannot be changed to accomplish that task, then that cannot be played baseball. You cannot play baseball. From home plate to right field is now 245 feet. You cannot go 312 feet. You can't go 300, which is the Little League, Senior League minimum level for a baseball. And you can't go to 309, which is the size of the Green Monster. So you're stuck. You can't build a wall tall enough at 245 feet that wouldn't go up to the second or third level of the Citrus Bowl to be able to play baseball. So you end up having this kind of real weird deal. I see it as us taking this area and designating it and doing one of two things. We see in the future, what is the use of 6 acres of a park that ought to be dedicated to the use of baseball? That's point one. And the second is, how are we going to designate the history that occurred here? Not the nostalgia, but the history that occurred here. And let's take that history and make it important to us. And for that, I'm going to support this because I think that land is broader than just that infield. But we cannot keep that infield where it is and play baseball. We just simply can't. So the other choice is keep the building there, cordon off the building because you can't walk into it. It's eventually condemned. And people would wave to the building as they went by because you can't go into it without preparing the building. So it's going to cost $10 million to prepare the building. And then what will happen with that is exactly what will occur that you guys are afraid of. I'd say those who have commented on me are afraid of. You spend $10 million for stands for the Electric Daisy concert because you can't play baseball there. So you're going to have a great $10 million stands for another venue that's going to occur there. And that's not what we want. So in my opinion, I think this is the best process. I appreciate the mayor being sensitive to many of the comments that were made. And then, of course, I appreciate the sensitivity that Commissioner Hill has to this issue, as well as Commissioner Ings. But I think we're on the right track to say, let's designate the land. We got baseball sometime in the future, maybe, maybe not. We have history right now. And let's move on and try to accomplish that task. So for that, I'm going to support this ordinance.
Okay, Commissioner Sheehan, then Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'd like to say that Commissioner Ings has been consistent in speaking about saving Tinkerfield before any of this even came up. I mean, he's been very consistent, even bringing up, that we need to invest dollars in this. And unfortunately, his concern fell on deaf ears because he has brought that up over the course of several years. This was obviously demolition by neglect, and it was something he has brought up for many years, sitting on this dais. We have had a change in leadership in District 5, and Commissioner Hill has worked to save the field, which was the original ask. And I appreciate the fact that she has done what was the original ask. It seems now the ask has changed since folks came forward. I understand that this is a process, and sometimes that happens. But what I really wanted to have happen here was a process. I'm not getting all that I want. The outfield was compromised without council input by the Citrus Bowl renovation. That put us in the whole situation to begin with. We should have had input before the field was compromised, the outfield was compromised, and that's unfortunate that rendered it unusable without our knowledge. But now we've got what we've got, and I agree with preserving Tinkerfield. That's why I'm voting for this today, and this is a preservation. I'm not going to vote against historic preservation because I'm a firm believer in it. We did stop a paved parking lot, which was one of the original plans, and it was a much worse proposal, and there was going to be a little weird AstroTurf baseball, and that was all that was going to be left of Tinkerfield. So I think that we've come a long way since the original proposal, which was concrete and a weird AstroTurf baseball. So I think we've come a long way off of that, and I think that happened because Commissioner Hill has worked so hard on this. This is a historic field. There is absolutely no doubt about that. That's why the 6.1 acres should be preserved. It shouldn't be used as a parking lot. It's not fair to say that something's historic and then park cars all over it. It's not fitting for it. festivals that are on it should obey the noise ordinance. I think that's, you know, anytime anything uses our city facilities, they should abide by the noise ordinance. So again, just because just because it generates revenue doesn't mean it's good if it's disturbing everyone. And I've heard, believe me, lots of concerns from my district as well, which is far removed from this area, about the noise from electric daisies. So this is what is known as a compromise. Not everybody's going to be happy at the end of the day, but I think we've come a long way from the original proposal. I'd like to, you know, recognize the work that has gone into this. It's a shame that, you know, that this can't be a baseball venue, but, you know, we can do the best we can to preserve this as a field. And, you know, much more historic fields, Wrigley and all these other fields have been torn down, you know. It's a shame. It's kind of what happens, but I'm glad to see, though, that we are going to preserve the field and move forward with this, and perhaps we can have some games and things like that. But I think it's important to preserve the history, and that's why I'm voting for the ordinance today.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner Hill, I'll let you close on this.
Thank you, sir. Of course, as Commissioner Sheehan has said, this has been a compromise. We started out with just a diamond. Now we're ending up with 6 acres, and nothing can be done on that field above but baseball. Somewhere in the future, I would hope that someone come to my office and come to the commission with a solid plan, such as I've been working with Mr. Haddock, and I thank you for all your input and information, and look forward to working with him towards a plan of how to commemorate the field. This hasn't been easy, because I do hear the voices of all the HOAs in my community, not just from this dais, not just from my office, but everyone can testify that I'm to each and every homeowners meeting, to each and every tenants association meeting, to everything that's going on in my community. I'm right there, I'm present. Doesn't matter if it's in the mornings or evenings. Most time, I spend the last hours, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, with those in the community. So it's not falling on deaf ears. But there's also 52,000 people in District 5. And there's a large percentage who I also been reaching that said, Commissioner, we need adequate housing. We need training and apprenticeship programs in our district. And $10 million is something that I need and the community need, is placed on housing, especially senior housing, because I do care about my seniors. And that's one of my major focuses right now. And I think about what will Martin Luther King say or do when there's $10 million and then there's seniors that don't have adequate housing. It's not pointing anyone out, as Ms. Harris stated, that we have a homeless issue. I don't want them sleeping on Tinkerfield. As Commissioner Ing stated, the city purchased $6 million, property there in the Orange Center Coriander, which is in his district, and then some in mine. Some of that funding can go towards maybe supportive housing, senior housing, disabled housing, in District 5 and District 6. That's a priority. Nobody can sleep in those grandstands. Matter of fact, we can't even walk in them right now because of the long-term dilapidation. It's good to hear that Commissioner Ings has been fighting for this for quite a while. I'm glad to hear that, because I was saying, well, what happened with the black leaders speaking out before I got in office 9 months ago about Tinkerfield and the dilapidation of it? We also need to be concerned about some of the social issues, and I would hope here in the future that you stand with me on some of the things that we do need to address in the black community. Crime, been having 3 or 4 months of meetings here in the area. We had 100 folks show up. But unfortunately, those that are outside of, got Doug and Tanya, that's been coming to the meetings. I haven't seen many of you guys. Like they said, we're fighting about a tree. When there's meetings I'm having, fighting for lives. And we're talking about seats. Not taking anything away from that. But I do need us to focus on really what's important, because we can bring those seats back once we find proper funding, community partners that can invest in a new baseball field. I'm up for that. But also, that $10 million right now need to be focused on people. Because I hear us saying we have invested $1.5 billion in buildings. That's oxymoron. You're asking us to invest more in buildings and less in people? So with that saying, I look forward to everyone working along with the commission. Wells Built, Sarah Van Hazel, we're at the Orlando Region Historic Building. And we come together as a community on moving forward with the Tinkerfield historic field, and also in the future of bringing baseball back to Tinkerfield. It's not over. This is just the beginning. But in order to move forward, I do think that a yes vote on making this a historic field and saving Tinkerfield, because a no vote, as they said, anything might can go up. But today we will, and I will vote to preserve Tinkerfield. Thank you, Mayor.
Further discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed.
All right, passes 6-1. That concludes the official business of the Orlando City Council today. Thank you for tuning in today, and thank you for being in chambers. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and then we will go into general appearance.
How many of those do we have?